Hi, welcome to the Let It Fly show. I am Michael Severe, joined by my partner from Creighton University and Central High School.
Man.
One of the true great alumni of the Eagles, Josh Jones, joining us here on the Let It Fly show, live from inside the number one Let It Fly sports bar in the Capital District, opposed to number 2,
right,
which is now out west in Elkhorn. Have you been yet? Have you seen a new place?
I have, man. It's literally the exact same thing.
Is it really?
Yeah, it is. It's just obviously the dynamics are different because it's a smaller venue.
Okay.
But the vibe the same.
Yeah.
The people are different.
It's out west,
I'm
man.
gonna keep it real.
It's out west, man. It's out west, yeah.
No shade, nothing bad.
Downtown crew.
It ain't about bad or good.
Yeah, sure.
But it's another one up, man, and it's beautiful.
Yep, no doubt about that. So if you want to check that out, it's out in Elkhorn off of 203rd Street.
Yep.
You know what? I didn't know where it was until went to Yano's thing, Yano Jones Memorial.
My God.
Went out to that, and as I'm leaving the parking lot, I'm like, oh, here it is right here.
For sure.
Here's Let It Fly Elkhorn, which is now open to the public. It's going to be a big weekend of sports. We'll get to that in a second. But we want to thank Bud Light, who is our presenting sponsor. We appreciate them no matter where you're drinking, no matter where you're opening a can or a bottle. Make sure you do it with Bud Light. Easy drinking, easy buckets, and touchdowns throughout Nebraska. Easy to drink and easy to enjoy. You can always find everything you need for us. LetItFlyShow.com.
Right.
Whether it's Facebook or one of the podcast places, it's the Let It Fly Show. The Let It Fly Show. You can find us on Twitter and everywhere else as well. We appreciate you following us, liking it, and subscribing it as well. This is a busy sports week.
I know, man.
Busy.
I know.
Like crazy busy.
But everything that's like about to happen is like elite games, high profile games. I can't wait, man.
It's kind of like a little bit like Christmas, right? Because with Christmas, you get a little bit of everything. You get great food, you get presents, you get family and all that stuff. You get everything.
Yeah.
I'm just going to tell you, we're taping this on a Thursday night.
Right.
So, of course, Thursday night football, the NFL starts tonight. We got that going on. Baltimore against the two-time defending champions, Kansas City Chiefs. You got that going on. We'll move to Friday. Because Friday, you have the first NFL game being played in Brazil. Which is crazy. São Paulo, Brazil.
Yep.
And that's going to be crazy.
I know.
Because it's the Packers and Eagles playing in that one.
Right.
Both teams have something to prove.
Yep.
So you have that game going on. You can watch that. I hope so. Yep. I lived in Philly as a child, but I have a lot of friends who are Eagles fans. And I got to the point in my life at this age where I want happiness for my friends.
Respect.
I want people to be happy. I'm serious. I wasn't always like this.
I know what you mean.
I wasn't always like this. I wasn't always like this. But now I want happiness for my friends. You know, unless they're Braves or Falcons fans, then I'm not your friend. But anyway, so that game is going on. That starts at 7:15.
Yeah.
I will not be watching that game because I will be at Omaha Central homecoming.
Man.
Playing Omaha South.
Homecoming game.
I know.
That's gonna be fun.
Well, they haven't won a homecoming game since before COVID.
Oh, I know.
So it's against Omaha South. So. Pretty good chance, I think.
This year is a good chance.
They win. Yeah, they should beat Omaha South. It's sad. If you go back and look at some of the scores.
I'm trying to do something about it right now.
It's so sad. Oh, it's so. They lost last week to one of the new schools. It wasn't Buena Vista. It was the other one.
Westview.
Westview. Like 60-something. Like it was bad. It was really bad. So that's who Creighton. I'll be at that game. Then Saturday, you got a doubleheader. Nebraska volleyball playing at 2:00. Creighton volleyball playing at 2:00. So you want to be at the sports bar so you can have one on each TV while you got college football going on, and you can watch both volleyball. Nebraska's playing Montana State, and Creighton is playing Kansas State. Those are both at 2. Yep. And then, of course, the big one, 6:30, Nebraska, big Colorado from Memorial Stadium. The place is gonna be rocking. I'm planning on being at the stadium by 2:30.
I know.
For the 6:30 game because I know how it's gonna be.
I guess I was before you said what you said when it hit my ears. I was about to say, what's your greatest Christmas gift out of all the packages coming? But
that would be the one.
That's the one.
Or I'm a huge NFL fan.
I know.
And so Sunday
you watch that
is NFL watch party at both sports bars. Special prices, incredible food as always. All the TVs loaded with NFL games.
Right.
Now the Saints are at noon. Yeah. That's my team. So that's a big. Can I get dual presents? It's like getting a Switch, right? You got the middle part and the 2 controllers.
Right.
That's what it's like.
Or just get YouTube TV.
I got it at home.
So you know.
I got it at home.
So you know.
I got the 4 box on one TV and the Saints up on the other one. I used to have a third TV, but my son left for college and he took that one with him. So I got the 2 TVs, but it works out pretty well. Let's get to headlines. And the big headline, obviously, is Nebraska, Colorado, Saturday night at 6:30. Let me give you a little bit of history, okay, in this history of this rivalry.
It's a real beef, bro.
It's a beef.
It's
between
a beef.
And the best beefs, and I've always believed this, is between states and ways of life. Yep. Okay? Nebraska versus Colorado. As you know, Nebraska is a fairly conservative state.
Yep.
Colorado has legalized everything.
Yeah.
So they're not as conservative. The two schools, for a long time, Nebraska would just whoop up on Colorado. Matter of fact, let me tell you. So they played, the first time they played was in 1898.
Yeah.
They played 72 times.
There's one that sticks out in my mind, but go ahead.
So 72 times they played. 49 times Nebraska's won. Colorado's won 21. They had 2 ties. Nebraska's outscored them by over 600 points.
Which one is the one where they put up 62 points?
2001. 62-36. Chris Brown, Bobby Purify, just dominant. And that really, in a way, ended Nebraska's, like, the idea of them being more dominant physically.
Right.
Ended that day.
I know.
I mean, they've had good teams since.
I just remember the camera angles, you know, and
the holes.
For
Chris Brown.
Yeah.
Oh,
like, you can
huge.
See, like on TV,
yep.
It's almost like they was playing 8-man versus 11-man.
It was not good at all. And in a stretch, Colorado has won the last 3.
Yep.
And then before that, Nebraska won the last 3 while they were in the Big 8, including a 2005 game where Colorado was a 16, 17-point favorite.
Right.
Nebraska went in there. This is how confident the team was. Under their uniforms, they had T-shirts on that said "Restore the Order."
Dang.
And when they beat Colorado 30-3, they opened up their jerseys and stuff, and they had the T-shirts on.
Sure.
Restore the order.
Like that. Now, as I think about it, bro. So taking it back to last year, new era for Colorado, new era for Nebraska.
Sure.
Coach Rule, Coach Prime. I feel like the momentum and the way Coach Prime's energy, but also how Nebraska was building at the same time, is what kind of allowed Colorado with the edge. And they had some, like, 5-star guys.
Nebraska gave the game away by putting the ball on the ground.
It was
and throwing it. I mean, again, it's a 7-point game in the middle of the third quarter.
Before that,
in the middle of the third quarter, it's a 7-point game. Nebraska's got the ball.
Yeah.
One of the many fumbles, of course, by their quarterback, puts the ball on the ground, doesn't go to get it either, just lays there. They end up outscoring Nebraska. I think they ended up outscoring them, what, four touchdowns? Or
it was 3.
It was 24 points. 24 points. So 3 touchdowns and a field goal after that. It's like, and they put them out of their misery.
I kind of look at that like Isaiah Thomas scoring 40 against Magic and losing. You know, like...
Oh, in the finals?
As a fan of basketball and a fan of... Like, I'm not a Pistons fan, but, like, if you're a fan of the Pistons, you'll know that.
Yeah,
so us
on the bad ankle.
Us as Husker fans, we know we could have won that game.
Yeah. It's one of those you can't give away games, man.
This one right here, I just kind of feel like, man, with the... I was kind of, like, reading, like, mock drafts and all this and all that.
Yeah.
I just think with the expectation of Shedeur, expectation of Travis Hunter, the standard of Coach Prime, they gonna play like this is one of them games that's gonna get my stock up or stock down.
Yeah, both of them are gonna be top 5 picks in the NFL draft.
Right.
I don't think there's anything really they could do the rest of the season
that can deter
that's gonna only because if you're the best quarterback or a top 2 quarterback, you're gonna go in the top 5.
Right. He'll at least go 4th. The highest he'll go is 4th on the draft board with other quarterbacks that's coming up.
Well, I personally think out of all of them, because of the way he conducts himself in the pocket, he's not a guy who just runs. And he's not a guy who's a runner.
Yeah.
He can be a dual threat, but it's always looking to throw.
Yeah, he just sits there like nobody's trying to come at him, no matter what.
I wouldn't be surprised if Travis Hunter went 1 overall.
Respect.
He is, I'm 55 years old, and I always say this. In 1979, I saw Hugh Green play for the Pittsburgh Panthers.
Okay.
One of the best players I've ever seen play in my life.
Wow.
The next year, I saw Herschel Walker play for the University of Georgia.
Dang.
One of the greatest players I've ever seen in my life. I saw Bo Jackson play in person against LSU for Auburn. I saw Ndamukong Suh play in person. I've seen all them play in person. I've seen really good players. He is as close to the best athlete I've ever seen play football.
Dang.
He is that good of an athlete. Doesn't leave the field. He's got the best hands.
So offensively, he's better than Devontae Smith.
Oh yeah, I mean, I never saw Devontae Smith at Alabama play in person.
Right.
But he's bigger.
Dang.
I don't know if he's as fast, but he's got better hands. I've never seen anybody with hands like his.
Maybe I'm just watching him for granted or something.
He's incredible, dude.
I mean, this guy catch anything.
Nobody does. He played 130 plays.
I know.
130. North Dakota State, I think, had 67 offensive plays.
Yep.
Colorado had in the mid-50s. He played every one of them except for like 2 plays.
Except for 2.
It's crazy to think about that. He is that good of a player. And And when I'm not a big guy I'm not a hyperbole guy. I won't say that I think somebody's the greatest most times because it's such an argument no matter what, right? That's what you're talking about, right? You can argue Tom Brady, Joe Montana, quarterback, whatever. Yeah. Again, based on these eyes that have been watching football for some 50 years, I've never seen anyone. There was a guy that played, this is back in the 80s, Gordy Lockbaum.
Okay.
White kid. Played for Holy Cross. Played.
How tall was he?
Not big kid, like 5'11".
Okay.
He was the last true two-way player. Gordy played every single play of a game. Matter of fact, because of that, he ended up actually being a conversation for the Heisman as the season was going along because he played every play.
Wow.
Gordy Lockbaum wasn't an NFL first-round pick. He wasn't a top 10 pick.
Right.
What Travis Hunter does at this level,
right,
playing every single play and playing two of the most taxing positions.
Yeah, I know.
Wide receivers run a ton of routes, right, and accelerate, and then you turn around and you can play corner where you're then running routes with wide receivers.
Right.
I mean, it's remarkable to see it.
Okay, that's a good perspective.
It's incredible to see what he does.
Sure.
So they're going to definitely be that. It'll probably be, and I had to go back and look this, but in terms of 2 top 10 picks coming into play in Memorial Stadium, I don't believe it's happened. I don't. The closest would be, now I don't remember where Michael Huff was drafted from Texas. I know Vince Young, I believe, was third in that draft. I'm not sure if Michael Huff was a top 10 pick. He got drafted by the Raiders. He was a defensive back. I don't believe he did, but in terms of having 2 top picks, and it doesn't happen a lot. No. You know, it doesn't happen a lot where that happens. So good for them.
I feel like we can only go off of practice, though. Like, how good are the Huskers this year versus last year?
Yeah, I mean, they did what they're supposed to do against UTEP.
Yep.
When you're playing a team like that, you want to have your backups in by mid-third quarter.
Yep.
You want to have everybody feeling good. I called it a Surgeon General game because the Surgeon General is like, your blood pressure is going to be fine. You're not going to get excited. You're not going to be worried. Maybe the fumble got you a little bit, maybe in the 120s. But really, they dominated the game. And that's what you should do.
Yep.
That's the way you should do it. Now, North Dakota State is 50 spots better in the Sagarin ratings than UTEP, right? We know that. But Nebraska did what they're supposed to do.
That's what matters.
Did what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
I got a film study for Colorado, watching the North Dakota State game, just some notes.
Yep.
As you know, they probably know that they run the spread.
Yep.
They are a team that goes 3 or 4 wide almost always. Usually it's a single back. I've never seen them really line up in power. Even when they have short yardage, like you saw against North Dakota State earlier on 4th and 1, they were in the shotgun.
Yep.
They're not a power team. That's not what they do.
Yep.
They ran 57 plays against the Bison, and at an average last year of about 22.3 seconds a play. So they're going slower than last year. Definitely going slower.
Yep.
Now, the weird part of that game last week was North Dakota State had the ball for 36 minutes.
My gosh.
And Colorado had for 24.
Right.
And they made up for a lot of that. There was one quarter, I believe it was the second quarter, where it was like 13-2 in time of possession. Man. So they made up for some of that.
Because they asked Shador about.
Because they scored that one time real quick.
Not really getting the rhythm in the first half.
Yep. They had that one drive where they scored in like 3 plays.
Yeah.
Nebraska's going to have to tackle in space. They have so many make-you-miss guys, right? I mean, we mentioned Travis Hunter.
Yep.
You mentioned Jimmy Horn. There's a guy named LeJonte Wester.
Yep.
I know who he is. He went to Florida Atlantic. I know who he is because he was one of our finalists for the Jet Award last year.
Right.
That's how good of a return he was.
That's crazy.
And he led Florida Atlantic in receptions as well. He had 108 receptions last year for 1,068 yards and 8 touchdowns.
So would you say, with everything that happened, they got all those stories about people hitting the transfer portal from Colorado. Are they as good or better than last year?
Well, skill player-wise, Jimmy Horn came from South Florida.
Yep.
I mentioned Wester's from Florida Atlantic.
Yep.
Obviously, Travis Hunter a couple years ago came from Jackson State. They got a running back out of Ohio State in Allen Hayden. So skill-wise, I would say yes. I still believe their biggest issue is in the trenches. Watching their offensive line, now they have a true freshman playing left tackle. That's never optimal.
Right.
And then their right tackle was constantly getting pushed back into Shador. Now, Shador made plays.
Yeah.
Only got sacked once. But they weren't going against the defensive line. They're going against Nebraska's strength on defense is that front 5. I know they run a 3-5-5, but you add the front 3 with the jack position and whoever the other guy is going to be, Cam Leonard, Linhart, one of those guys, Princewell, whoever it is, those guys are going to be coming better than North Dakota State had.
No, for sure.
Yeah. The one problem with their run game, and there's a lot of problems because of the way, but they just don't dedicate themselves to it.
No.
If you're going to run the ball, you have to, in your mind, say, we're going to run the ball.
Right.
They run the ball just to offset. Let's throw the ball.
Exactly. Yeah. Just
That's what they do.
Yeah, for sure.
Offensive line, I mentioned issues with power, got pushed back a lot, not overly physical at the point of attack. Nebraska's got to take advantage of that interior offensive lineman with Nash Hutmaker, who, the opposite of him for North Dakota State, dominated their center and guard last week.
Right.
I think Hutmaker's a better player. So
yeah,
get a big push there. Defensive-wise, 3-man front. They rotate a lot. They got a new defensive coordinator.
Yep.
It's funny to watch them because when they play well, they look great.
Yep.
When they look bad, they look really bad.
Real bad.
Know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's tough. You know what I mean, just for the simple fact that it kind of feels like you're playing off of talent, not really like skill or an actual cohesion or chemistry.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you go out there and you ball because somebody like Cam Newton leading Auburn. Like if he played bad, they have no chance.
They had no shot. Yeah.
You feel like
this is like what you do when say you're going out to the park.
Yeah.
And you play and you're playing pickup and you run with a new 4.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. And I mean you just don't know each other.
You gotta
everybody's going off on their own and you're trying to make plays.
That can be a blessing.
It takes a while to build them together.
You can't win them all, obviously, but you can't go as far as you really could without that chemistry, man.
There are a bunch of teams that have won the fictional transfer portal award.
I know.
So this past year, Oregon, great, right? Yeah. Really good. You saw, even though they put a bunch of yards up, they struggled.
Yeah.
Because you got to come together. You got to be able to know what the other guy is doing and make it work.
Right.
Their best defensive player from what I watch outside of Travis Hunter is number 20. His name's Bentley. He's built like a defensive lineman, but he's actually a middle linebacker. He's old school. Yeah. For older people, Levon Kirkland comes to mind for the Pittsburgh Steelers. This guy is quick. He can penetrate. He makes tackles. If you block him, I think you could have success.
Man.
If you block that guy. So Nebraska's 2 things they need to do based off of what you saw with North Dakota State.
Right.
Take advantage of the middle of the field, right? A lot of crossing routes. Get your back out of the backfield. Use your slot receiver, whoever it is. Bonner plays slot, and Barney plays slot, or maybe even a tight end, and take advantage of the middle of the field. They struggle guarding the middle of the field because they don't have fast linebackers.
Okay.
So take advantage of that.
I want to flip to offense and ask you about your analysis on that.
Yeah. So this is all about this is Nebraska going against their defense, right? Yeah. They gave up 92 yards rushing to the starting quarterback for North Dakota State. So maybe we see a little bit of Heinrich Harburg with some quarterback run.
I was about to talk to you about that.
Maybe we could certainly see it. Special teams real quick before I hand off to you. Jimmy Horn is one of the returners, and I mentioned LeJontay Wester, who was one of the best in the country last year. So kick the ball out the end zone.
Yeah, right.
Last week the Bison had 6 kickoffs.
Yeah.
All 6 of them touchbacks.
Dang.
You got to have that, and none of the punts were returned either.
Right.
So you got to keep the ball out of those 2 guys' hands. Do whatever you can do with that. I will tell you real quick, their kicker, Mata, who's good, has a low trajectory. So don't be surprised if you see a blocked field goal extra point.
That's who Prime brought with him from JSU.
He is a guy who's got a good leg, but for some reason, he is really a low trajectory guy. I don't know why, but I saw a couple times where they were close. Nebraska's got some big old tall boys in the middle.
Yeah, get them hands high.
So certainly possible. So what were you going to say?
I was just asking your thoughts about Raiola. Like, as a obviously he's a guy.
Oh, he's
kind of give me like your take on what you from his performance against UTEP.
Yeah.
Versus the biggest difference between him and Harburg and things like that.
What do the young people say? He's him.
Yeah.
He is. He really is. I tell people all the time, and you know this with your son right now, right? So from the very beginning, he was a football. Baseball kid, like from 4 or 5 years old. He was the kid that played up, right? He was the kid who looked better than everybody else. He was the one that studied. Obviously, his dad played in the NFL. His uncle was playing in college and then in other leagues.
Right.
So his whole life has been built to get here. In high school, he played at 4 different high schools. Now you think, oh my God, that's not a great thing. The reason he did was his dad wanted him to learn different offenses.
Did he go to Texas or Oklahoma?
He was in Arkansas. He was in Arizona and also in Georgia.
I'm way off.
Arizona and Georgia. And so what he wanted him to do was learn from different coaches,
right?
Learn different systems,
That's
right?
An investment, man.
Ended up at the end at Buford, which is one of the best high schools in Georgia. And that's why he is what he is. He's a football player. And he made 2 throws, I would say, were kind of questionable. He tried to make a throw to force it in. Jalen Lloyd down the sideline. Yep. And then he made one where it was late. He tried to throw it in there when he had a guy across him. Other than that, he played a really good game. He did take a sack, which was on him, not on the offensive line. But other than that, I thought, he did what we thought he would do.
For sure.
He did what he thought he would do.
What about Harburg? How much can he see the field with the competition? Colorado is a really big game. Mm-hmm. Raiola is gonna definitely assumingly play right and play the way we need him to play to hold it down.
Yeah.
Does Harburg not see the field because of that?
Listen, I don't mind playing. There's some people that say, well, you don't want to take your best player off the field saying that Raiola is the best player, right? But look at all the schools throughout college football. Well, even last week against the Bison, they brought in the kid from Westside, Cole Payton, to run some stuff. Even ran like a fake run wheel route throw that gained a bunch of yards. You look at Minnesota over the years. They've always had a designated running quarterback for the goal line packages. I wouldn't be surprised to see him in goal line situations. Using the run, using his legs. And then as a switch up, maybe you bring him in a couple times on Saturday. Both guys were on the field at the same time.
Man.
Maybe you do the same thing.
Okay.
So I think Harburg will get some snaps.
Yeah.
Because he's a good athlete.
It's looking real optimistic when it comes to the positions we got with players. And and I look at the people from last year that stayed, and I know they're gonna work hard, but at the end of the day, it's like nobody want to waste talent.
It's tough to get not recruited over, transfer ported over.
I know, man.
Right. So Jalen Lloyd had a great freshman year.
Yeah.
He did great freshman year. It's great. You bring in Jamal Banks, who's 6'4", 220. You bring in Isaiah Nair, who's same thing.
Can't teach that.
Those guys are going to play.
Right.
And then Jalen Lloyd's kind of up next. But then you brought in Carter Nelson as a young guy.
Right.
You got a lot of mouths to feed.
Yeah.
And that's why it was good last week to have that game.
For sure.
Because everybody got a chance to play. They had 11 guys catch passes. They had 8 running backs run the ball.
Dang.
That's incredible. 19 different skill players, not including the tight end, not including Fedoni or Borkature either. Right. So it just shows you what they are.
For sure.
We're going to do keys to the game come a little later, but I want to do the second key because you weren't here last week, second headline.
Right.
So you didn't get a chance to do your picks.
I did
right?
not.
For Nebraska. Now, obviously, they're already 1-0, so you got that one going. I'm going to go through, and I'm going to give you the games.
Okay.
And you give me a W or you give me an L.
All
right? So this week, Colorado Buffaloes come to town, 6:30 on NBC. Come to the sports bar and watch with all your friends.
Man.
W or L? I wanted to wear my shirt today, but I'm a journalist. My shirt says, I've hated Deion since the 90s, but I'm a journalist.
No, respect. You know what? I'm going to be straight with you.
All right.
I think Colorado get up out of there with a W.
Okay, so W for Colorado, 1-1 Nebraska. Then they play Northern Iowa the week after that.
I think it's a W.
Nebraska wins that game.
Yeah.
Then they play Illinois on a Friday night, which is going to be interesting because Nebraska has played Friday night games before, but not at home. Not at home. It's going to be interesting to see.
And tough slang-wise.
I feel bad for the high schools, too.
Yeah, slang is, that's me saying that's going to be a lit game. Or
a
fun game.
Right.
But that's a W, bro.
W.
Yeah.
Then they go to Indiana.
Yeah. Hey, is that a TV contract thing of why they got to play when my son, if he's a high school kid, is playing?
Yeah, so so one of the things the Big Ten did this year was they introduced playing more games on Friday. So they have a game every Friday night.
But why?
Because Fox wants it. Because they spend a lot of money.
Oh, bro, I love it.
And they're like, hey, we want more product.
I love it.
So right now you have, on Saturdays, Fox at 11, CBS at 2:30, and then NBC at night. And then you got the Fox games on Friday night.
For sure. It's going to be nice.
Yep. So at Indiana, which is on Saturday.
At Indiana.
I think that's 11 o'clock game.
I think that's a dub, bro.
W, Indiana. And then they go to Purdue as well. Go to West Lafayette.
Man.
Purdue's an interesting team.
I know.
Only one of 2 teams in all the Big Ten that return their head coach, both offensive and defensive coordinator, and the starting quarterback.
I know, man.
Doesn't happen a lot.
I just remember some of the conversations we had about Purdue, and
they struggled last year, man. That was a tough year. I think they went 3-9.
That's a dub, bro, for the Huskers.
Dub,
but it's just sometimes like you get them like squeeze me games.
Oh yeah. Well,
not against the Huskers though.
And Nebraska's not used to winning like this.
Right.
So all of a sudden you're saying we're supposed to expect Nebraska to play at a point where we're not concerned. Mm-hmm. Rutgers.
Yeah.
What about Rutgers?
Oh, man.
I got them out of order. Indiana's actually Rutgers, after Rutgers.
Yeah, you know what? I would rather give I think the Huskers.
And that's at home. The Rutgers game's at home.
Well, I know. I keep thinking about that Purdue game.
Oh, okay,
I think the Huskers. I think we'll get Rutgers at home for sure.
Okay. Then they go to Ohio State.
Damn,
that's a loss.
That's a loss. I almost rolled off my tongue.
They're really good. They're really good.
Yeah.
And then you have the UCLA game, which is here.
That's gonna be fun, but that is an L.
An L, okay. Then they go to the Trojans of USC, back-to-back California. Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Then they cut Wisconsin at home.
That's
Wisconsin had a hell of a first week, boy. They were struggling. They were struggling.
I know. You know what? I'm gonna say that's a W.
W. Haven't beaten Wisconsin since 2012. 2012.
I remember you told me that.
2012,
yeah.
man. It's a
That's
long
W.
time.
That's
okay.
a W.
And then the last game.
New quarterback. Receiving core is crazy.
Yep.
Raiola
should be better.
Raiola gets better.
Yeah.
With the offensive line.
Sure.
From last year.
Yep.
We're gonna be straight.
What about at Iowa on Black Friday to end the season?
Ooh, that's gonna be fun, but that is none. L.
Oh wow! So you're going 7-5, I think. If I count that up, I'm pretty sure you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got 7-5. I went 8-4.
Respect.
So last year we both picked 6-6.
Yes, we did.
And they went 5-7.
Right.
This year I'm picking 8-4, and you're picking 7-5. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Headline number 3. Congratulations to Ryan Cockburner,
Rachel
Saunders getting married this past weekend.
Married.
Congratulations to them.
Big step.
Yeah, big step. Big step. Let me just say you're way too young to be getting married, but do what you do. Do what you do.
What I thought was mature of him, they asked him what he want to be when he grow up.
A dad.
Come on, man. He want to be a dad.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Bro.
It's,
respect.
It's the greatest job in the world.
To the club.
Greatest job in the world.
Yeah.
Greatest job in the world. All right. Keys to the game. Hold on. I got the keys. Hold on a second. Let me do this.
I got a 5, bro.
Keys to the game, as my boy would say, and another one. Control the trenches. Key number 1. I mentioned Nebraska's offensive line. They have over 130 starts between them.
I know.
Mazuka both at Baylor and Florida. Ben Hart going to set the record for the most starts. Corcoran, tons of starts. Ben Scott at Arizona State and here, over 30-something starts.
Very mature.
And then you have the young kid in Justin Evans, but he's playing really well.
Right.
Against a defensive line that honestly didn't play well against North Dakota State. Bro. They didn't.
No, they didn't.
They had some moments, but just didn't play well. A lot of transfers in defensive line for Colorado, but they really didn't show out.
Right.
And then on the other side, Nebraska's defensive line, which I said is the strength of their defense, going against an offensive line. It's got a freshman, got a bunch of new starters, and even though they only gave up 1 sack, as you know, Shadir was kind of running for his life.
He was.
He took a couple of big shots.
He did.
Still made passes.
Right.
That's the key. Win the trenches. The big uglies are the key to winning this game.
Right.
As Janet Jackson said, you got to have control.
Yep.
And it's control of the trenches that you got to have. Number 2. Now, Coach Rule has said over and over again, we're going to let our quarterback play. We're going to let Dylan Raiola, no reins, let him play, let him do him, let him be him.
You'll be able to see that by the 5th play of the game, if he going to let him play or not.
I'm not saying don't let him play, but the key to this game, outside of the first key, is you have to protect the ball.
Yeah, but that's him just trusting his judgment.
And you have to, that's just it. You can't make wild throws trying to make plays that aren't there. You can't do that. Not against Colorado. Yeah. They have too much athleticism. Nope. And if you give them the ball inside the 40-yard line, they're probably going to score.
Man, if
you got to make them go link to the field.
I just got this vision of, I'm kind of nervous about it. If Travis Hunter get a pick, he's going to run it back, or the next play is going to be a deep bomb for a touchdown.
You know, have you ever heard the phrase, you don't go broke taking a profit?
Yeah.
Yes, you could try to go deep. You could try to make a big play. Take what's there. Watch against North Dakota State. The underneath routes were open all day.
Right.
It was like an Oprah show. You get a crossing route. You get a crossing route. You get a crossing route.
It's almost like Colorado
take those.
Look for the big plays. Always.
And then Shiloh will take a lot of chances as well. And so give him some play action, but take advantage of what they give you. You don't have to force it. Yeah. Throw it away when necessary. Eat it if you have to.
You got Nebraska beating Colorado, right?
I picked third. Well, that's into the show. I'll tell you the score. I'll tell you the score at the end of the score. I'll tell you my score at the end. Okay. Right. Third key is, I always say stuff like this, but you got to win in special teams. I mean, you don't have to win every phase, but you need to make some plays. Ja'Cory Barney, as a kickoff returner, was close a couple times. Mm-hmm. I would love to see him as a punt returner, but Isaiah Garcia-Castaneda has been returning punts. One of those two guys, I think, makes a play.
Yep.
On the other side, as I mentioned, you need to kick the football into the end zone.
Yeah,
of the end zone.
We need like 4, 5, 6 touchbacks.
Yeah, if you're gonna score, then don't give them the ball with the chance of those returners getting you back.
I'm telling you.
And if you're gonna punt, angle that junk to the sideline or put it up really high.
Exactly.
Don't give them a chance to return it. And as I mentioned earlier, Mata, their kicker, is really kind of a line drive guy.
Right.
I'm predicting, this is one of my predictions, Nebraska will block either a field goal or an extra point in the game on Saturday because of the way he kicks it. Mm-hmm. As I mentioned, the Bison had 6 kickoffs, 6 through the end zone, 6 touchbacks. Do the exact same thing. Win field position with your special teams. Mm-hmm. Flip the field, make Sanders against that defense go the length of the field, opposed to having a short field because you messed around and fumbled or turned the ball over through interception.
Right.
My score that I have to pick on Monday because I got to get on Big Red Wrap-Up and do it was 34-24 Nebraska. Now, let me tell you something. I have this little formula I use, right? Mm-hmm. I've been using it for years to pick games, right?
How accurate and efficient
it's a pretty good formula, especially if I have a lot of game history.
Gotcha.
I don't. Each team's only played 2 games, 1 game, right? So not a lot of history. It's better later in the season.
Right.
But let me tell you what the formula pumped out.
Okay.
34-16.
Wow.
I added another touchdown or 8 points because it's early in the season, right? So that's what the formula said. It said 34-16. I think Nebraska wins the game because of the trenches. This game is a wonderful game. It's a lot of different ways to win.
Yeah.
But the thing you cannot do, and this goes back to Oregon, Colorado last year, you can't get beat up front.
So you think
and they got dominated against Oregon. I think Nebraska can do that.
You think they're better at protecting Shakur? I said Shakur.
Shador?
You think they're better on his line, protecting him from getting sacked? I mean, I know it was 1 game.
Yeah, it was only 1 sack.
Yeah.
He got hit. He had to move a lot. I just wouldn't compare North Dakota State's front to Nebraska's.
You can't.
It's because they got so much experience.
Exactly.
And they have better speed.
Right.
I think Nash is a better nose tackle than the guy they had.
Me more, so the energy gonna be high.
Yeah, it's gonna be really.
For sure.
So let me tell you, one of the biggest keys in this game, outside the keys I was talking about, was. So it's really difficult when you're an offensive lineman and you're in hostile territory.
Right.
You obviously can't go on sound because you can't hear.
Right.
You can go on clapping, but that's tough because it's so loud as well.
I know.
So what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to have your guard turn. Shador gives him the indication. He taps the center, then turns back, and the center snaps.
Yep.
That is the ultimate advantage from the defensive line because they know the ball is getting snapped.
Right.
You tap him, they know you're going.
Right.
So it gives the defensive line a head start. It's the reason why all these years the Saints have been a dominant defensive front getting sacks because it's so loud in the Superdome.
I know.
It's going to be really loud on Saturday night.
Yeah, I think the reason why I chose Colorado to win is because of sometimes I feel like
a nut?
I didn't last year.
Sometimes you feel like a nut. Sometimes you don't. It's commercial.
I just think that Travis Hunter, Shador Sanders, I just think they big.
No, I understand.
I think they primetime.
Yeah, you have 3 players at a minimum, and there's more than that. You have 3. Jimmy Horn Jr. You have 3 players who are as athletic and fast as anybody Nebraska has. Now, I will say the counter is Nebraska didn't have Nayor and Banks last year to also give you a lot of talent on the end. And they obviously didn't have a quarterback that was going to make plays, be efficient, and help you win the game.
Right.
The biggest difference between this is pretty obvious, but a great quarterback and an average quarterback is the great quarterback makes plays to help you win.
Right.
The average quarterback many times puts you in places to lose. They put you in. They do things that can help you lose the game.
Yeah.
Whereas a great quarterback does things that can help you win the game despite other people's mistakes.
Yeah.
They make everyone better.
I just kind of looked at it.
They make everyone better.
I look at it like you do, but I thought good quarterbacks were guys that were solid and they really know how to manage time, get you down the field, and make the right reads for what the playbooks say.
Yeah, but look at Mahomes though. I mean, he's the best quarterback in football.
No.
He makes
second.
He's right now. He's the best football playing quarterback.
Jackson.
That's ridiculous.
Lamar Jackson, the best quarterback in football. Lamar Jackson.
You have the quarterback of the back-to-backs. They would not win as many games.
MVP.
He can't even make throws in the playoffs.
MVP.
Look at his numbers in the playoffs.
Now, they got a better team, but
hold on. They were favored in the playoffs. Favored. They were the number 1 seed.
What do you guys
Kansas City went to there, and Kansas City kicked their ass. Why? Because who was bad? Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson was bad in that game. Couldn't make a throw.
He did. He didn't fold, but
he was bad. He was bad. And he's been bad in the playoffs before. He's not Patrick Mahomes, man. He's not Pat Mahomes.
And if they win today, you know that don't count, right?
My point is this.
This don't count.
My point is this. The majority of the plays that Patrick Mahomes makes are off script.
Facts.
So that great quarterback can do that.
And that's why I think Lamar, I think the same thing. I think that honestly about 2 more people, 1 more person come to mind. Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, that's another. Jalen Hurts is much better runner than he is a thrower.
For sure.
Do you agree with that?
I agree.
All right. And another thing about Jalen is that too many times he takes sacks because he doesn't do a very good job of pre-reading the defense.
Scanning the field.
And you got to do a better job of knowing what's going to happen before the snap. You got to see stuff. And now, not often does he do that. Lamar Jackson is at his best completion rate, believe it or not, in the pocket.
Yeah.
Believe it. As much as you see him make some big plays, standing in the pocket, it's amazing. And he's great as an underdog.
Right.
And he is really good at home as an underdog. He's been great his whole career.
I compare Lamar Jackson to Michael Jordan in 1986, 87.
Okay, the year after.
88, 89.
Okay, all right, so yeah.
And I think that the Pistons are the Chiefs. You know, I
Okay.
just feel Lamar had to have all this losing experience to a more younger, seasoned, elite quarterback. Probably the one that, arguably, I think he like top 3 already, personally.
In the end,
Personally.
no one is going to say at the end of a career, but he had like 2 MVPs. They're going to say, how many Super Bowls did he win?
That's like saying that's like 40 points on the bum. Yeah, I feel
Well,
you.
it's like the conversation about LeBron and Matt and Mike. Always going to come back to 6-4 or whatever it is. It's always going to come back to that.
At the end of the day.
Yeah, at the end of the day, people aren't sitting around in their rocking chair. You know,
saying he was MVP.
Man, he was MVP twice during the regular season. Joel Embiid's a great example. Joel Embiid has had some great regular seasons. You know what he's not had? Great postseasons.
Yeah, it's true.
Maybe because of injury or whatever else.
I guess. I mean, you're not wrong. And I just feel like, depending on how he played this year, will back up and validate what I'm saying.
Well, right now,
he can prove what I'm.
He's got King Henry behind him.
I know.
He's got the best run game he's had.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's 30 now, but he's still running the ball. 31. Still running him behind him.
Right.
They got some decent skill at wide receiver. Now, their offensive line isn't as good as last year. They lost 3 starters, but they replaced them with young guys, and they've been a very good drafting team. One of the best drafting teams in all of football is the Baltimore Ravens.
Yep.
Their defense, they lost their defensive coordinator.
Yep.
So we'll see how that goes.
And Harbaugh brought his little brother on staff, right?
Well, his Mike McDonald left to go be a head coach. At Seattle.
Word.
And there's other people that have obviously left too, but Baltimore's always going to be good.
Yeah.
Because they have
a system.
It's even more than a system, because the system can change.
Yeah.
It's something about a hereditary thing.
Okay.
You come here, you do what we do. I don't care who you are. It's a culture, exactly. Yeah. You come here and you do what we do. You do it how we do it, or you can take your butt and get on a rail.
I feel you.
And so they're always going to be good because of that. Yeah. Lamar has to play better in the playoffs, period. For his legacy, he's got to have better games in the playoffs.
I agree.
For his legacy.
So
and winning tonight would be a great start, because at the end of the year,
it don't count.
At the end of the year, you want to have home field advantage again, like they did last year. And this is the kind of game will give you a tiebreaker and home field advantage.
The Chiefs 3-peat.
No.
Nah, I thought so.
And it's not because. I hate the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm not. I won't even. Yeah. Won't even. That's not the reason. It's the long season. It's playing into February and then playing into February and then having to do it a third time. No doubt. Even though you have the best quarterback and they might have the most talented roster they've had throughout this whole stretch.
This whole run.
This whole
dynasty.
Xavier Worthy comes in as the fastest guy in the draft, and you're throwing him in that offense.
Damn, faster than Cheetah?
He was the fastest guy. He's the fastest guy in the history of the NFL Combine.
Wow.
4.21.
So you ain't really losing nothing.
So it's hard to argue they're not talented.
Yeah.
It's the stretch. It's avoiding injury, staying healthy.
No doubt.
Mahomes staying healthy.
Himself.
It's just difficult.
I feel
It's difficult. The closest has been Miami Dolphins, 70, 71, 72. Now, they won 2 in a row. They lost one before that.
Right.
So that's as close as you're going to get.
They're better than what they've produced.
Yeah, and last year, remember, in the middle of the season, they were struggling.
I know.
They lost that game to the Raiders, and they just didn't look right, and Travis Kelce was banged up and all that stuff. So it all depends on health. Yeah. Staying healthy, they maybe could do it. It's the hardest thing to do in sports.
That's why Michael Jordan.
The hardest thing to do in sports.
You can't three-peat, leave, and come back.
I would say it's a little bit easier in basketball only because home field advantage doesn't matter as much in the playoffs. In the playoffs in the NFL, home field advantage is incredibly valued because Miami having to go to Kansas City and play in 2 degrees.
The climate. Yeah, the climate.
Right?
Climate
so that's
change.
A big deal. Or the West Coast team having to go east and play in New York or something like that. Right. So that makes it a little more. And you have to, like I said, maintain health for 5 months of the toughest sport outside of boxing there is.
I know, bro.
It's difficult to do, man. Yeah, so what's your score prediction for the game?
Yeah, that's a good question. My score prediction was I thought it was going to be something like you said, but the other way around. I thought it was going to be
I'll put you down here.
I thought it was going to be 34-16 Colorado.
34-16 Colorado. Okay, I'll get that down there. We'll be back next week. We'll settle all this up.
Can't wait.
We'll settle all this up next week. Enjoy it. Have fun. These games, they don't come along that often.
Right.
We've been kind of looking back.
Right.
The Miami game in 2014.
Right.
8 o'clock or 8:30 start. It was so loud in there. There were fights in the stands. It was crazy.
Right. Make a meme out of me if you win.
Yeah, you don't get a lot of them, know. So enjoy it. Have a good time.
Right.
Be careful out there after the game. Don't get too liquored up and mess around.
What's crazy? As we sit and we talk about like the Huskers.
Yeah.
I don't pride myself nor do I feel good when I got to pick against us.
It's not personal.
Okay.
It's business.
There you go.
It's personal. Now I will tell you, I don't do this very often.
Yeah.
I bet Nebraska.
Yeah.
Given the 7.5, I bet that
for sure
on Monday.
Yeah.
When the official number came out.
Right.
I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah.
I don't do that a lot.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll bet Nebraska's over under.
Yeah.
Like last week I got screwed. It was 48.5. You had all kind of chances to get over and they didn't.
Right.
But I don't mess around and bet Nebraska unless it's a money line, like I bet them they're an underdog, whatever.
For sure.
I just don't do this a lot,
Yeah, right.
But I feel pretty good. I do. I think that they've got the kind of team.
It brings another energy to the game.
It does.
I'm telling you.
It does. It does. Because I did pretty well last week. And so this, outside of that horrible beat I got against Nebraska with the 48.5, they had 4 chances to get the over in that game. 4.
I know, man.
Oh my goodness, it was miserable sitting up there. And everybody behind me in the press box knew, and they're all like, kicking another field goal.
Right.
Anyway, so special thanks to
man.
Phil McClain, who's actually, he's running the board.
About time.
Well, he's going to push some buttons. No. He's running the board because Val Elvis had to go do some work, so he's gone. We appreciate him starting the show for us.
All the people tuning in, watching.
Thank you very much. As I said over and over again,
Yep.
If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like and subscribe button.
Yep.
Put a comment in there as well. That's awesome as well. And just follow us on all the social media platforms, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever else. Follow us as well. I want to thank our presenting sponsor again, Bud Light. No matter where you are this Saturday, if you're outside of Memorial Stadium, you're at a bar, you're at one of the 2 sports bars called Let It Fly, whether it's out west or here, on a ledge, you're in your basement. My wife's going to some friend's house, and they are all bringing their lounge chairs.
I feel it.
And they're going to sit outside around the little fire and watch it.
I bought a
gravity chair.
Man,
I got a gravity chair.
I don't have that. It's it's like a fire pit chair.
Okay.
But it's a rocker.
Oh, nice.
Because it's like soccer season.
You
feel me? So we're going to all my nieces. And my son about to play soccer too.
Yeah.
Man, this chair is so nice and comfortable, bro. I'm excited to go. I'm like a soccer dad.
I tell you right now, bro. There's nothing more uncomfortable than having to watch soccer than youth soccer, which is brutal. Again, thank you to Bud Light. Brings you easy drinking, easy buckets throughout Nebraska. Easy to drink and easy to enjoy. Next week we'll recap this.
Yep.
We'll have another.
I can't wait.
Yeah. I knew we didn't need a guest this week because we have Colorado. It's Colorado week, so you got plenty to do. So again, subscribe, like, do all that stuff on all the social media platforms. Follow us on YouTube. Do all that as well. Josh, take us away.
Hey, Josh Jones here with Michael Zavere. You know how we do it. It's a Let It Fly show.